if you hang around on X or anywhere else developers hang out, you'll see a lot of chatter about AI taking your job. AI is going to take some jobs. It's not going to take everybody's job. Smart developers are going to figure out a way to win because they always do. So I was a little brutal. If you follow me on X, you know I post crap like that, and it's mostly just to fire people up. What do they call it? Engagement bait, right? So if I annoyed you, I'm sorry, but I guess I met my intended purpose, right? So is AI going to take your job? Yes, if you're a moron, but you're probably not a moron. So if you're not, you're going to shift, your thinking. You're going to do things differently. Creative problem solving. That's a huge. Coming up with alternatives. Identify problems. Come up with different candidate solutions. Figure out which one's the best solution, if there is a best solution, or just implement that solution and ship it. Right? Systems integration. Always a problem. Two ships passing in the night, right? We always get a requirement, and then part of our job is to decompose those requirements into small bits of things that we can develop, right? But then we've got to integrate that. Decomposition, composition, right? And oversight, whether it's people or machines. Writing code is fun. I mean, I still do it as a hobby, right? I bet there's a lot of people out there that just do it as a hobby. You show up at work and you're not just sitting down writing code. If you actually have the freedom to sit down and write code all day, you're in a great spot, especially if you're able to pay the bills. There aren't a whole lot of those jobs available. They want to pay people to think. 4 focus areas: system thinking and architecture, AI and automation oversight, cross-disciplinary collaboration, and human-machine teaming and decision support. Systems thinking, I've got a couple of books on that. Academics will go crazy with the math, find things 24 different ways. But when I think about systems thinking, it's just, and this is going to sound absurd, thinking about the system, right? The environment that it sits in, the problem that it solves, dependencies, the people that use it, right? Not thinking about the SQL queries I have to write, database design, the UI. Those are all great, but I can't just optimize one, ignoring the system itself and the architecture. So AI can generate code, but it can't design big things for you, right? They're going to be scalable and secure. If it could, you could sit down at your little keyboard and say, "Hey, ChatGPT, create a software system for me that I can deploy to AWS. It'll solve a problem, and I can generate, $48,000 a month in gross revenue." If you could do that, that would be great. But the flip side is that software would never be released, because ChatGPT would never have been released, because I could sit back and just create these systems, right? It would be like the goose that lays the golden egg. So instead, think about the candidate solutions. Think about your preferred solution. How am I going to implement that thing? Break it down, ask ChatGPT or whatever tool you use to create snippets of code, whatever, that you can integrate. That's how you speed up, right? Hey, create me some Ruby code that'll scrape this website and create a CSV file for me. And then taking those bits, integrating them, and then making sure it actually addresses the requirements. The AI and automation oversight, don't sit down and just hammer out code. And I would imagine, just like the Stack Overflow days, right? You would read through all these, what before you get bogged down in the fights that break out in the comments. It's like you would roll through the candidate solutions, the answers that people gave. You looked at the upvotes, right? It was a way for the community to say, "Oh yeah, this makes sense. This is good," right? You copy that, and friggin' paste it into your code, get it running, and then make sure it actually does what you need it to do, right? So that's validating the AI generated outputs. You would do the same way that you would of anything else that you copy and pasted, right? Fine tune your models. I'm assuming that companies that use these tools, you're going to have an internal in-house model, particularly if you work in sensitive domains where you're not going to want your stuff out in the public. Then ensuring those systems that are in-house are secure. In addition to the code that you write, right? You want to make sure your systems are secure. And that gets back to the systems thinking, right? What does my system boundary look like? Who has access to it? How do they get to it? How do I know who they are? Once I've ensured that I know who they are, what are they allowed to do? It's crazy. Cross-disciplinary collaboration. Look at people that are out there in the world doing their thing, right? The solo person sitting at home cranking out systems and shipping software. It's beautiful, right? But when you're working in a larger environment, you can't just sit in your cube all day or sit in your office all day and just bang out code, right? How do you know what to do? And that's part of the problem. The mental thing that I deal with frequently, it's like I don't have a lot of domain expertise in these various things, but I know how to get people to work together, right? I know how to do design. I know how to write code. I can sit down and just bang out SQL statements. I do Rails work, right? But I can't just sit at home and create a banking app in Rails, right? By myself, because I don't know the rules and what sort of regulations I've got to do. So you got to meet with domain experts, people that focus on keeping things secure. Trying to keep, if one person can do this, that's great. But as the scale of the systems that you work on increases, it becomes impossible to do all of these things yourself. And the people, developers who have their head in cybersecurity, infrastructure, human factors, those are high demand people. And you'll hear DevOps, DevSecOps, it's like, it's the challenge that companies want a person that can do all this stuff too, right? So don't think you've got to be an expert in everything, but an awareness, right? Understanding enough to know that you need to depend on people in industry within your organization that are experts in these specific areas and consult with them to ensure that you're moving down the right path. Human machine teaming and decision support. AI is an assistant in your software development activities, but it's still down to the people to make critical decisions, right? Depending on how you prompt the tool, its inputs are, right, to assess which output is really the one that you should pull into your system, right? And then focus on that line there where the system meets the user. Interfaces, workflows, these old forms apps are really complicated to use. Is there anything you can do to make that easier? About 1,000,000 years ago, we had a dude named Ben Schneiderman up at University of Maryland. He was like a big human factors guy and helped us kind of look at things differently. And that was always a mind blower to me when you came from like literally like back in the old days, a DBase application and these expert systems that were written in various tools, but it was all form based, right? So you're like typing some stuff, hit tab, typing some stuff, your way through a display, right? And it's like, what if the person just logs in? We know all this stuff about them. They want to do this, they want to do that. So we just like narrow the interface down to just, boom, click this, enter some data, and I do this other stuff in the background. Decisions to maximize the effectiveness of AI while keeping humans in the loop, right? So think about this. Decision support all boils down to helping people workflows, right? Help people do their jobs easier, help businesses make more money, help them, whatever. save time. The takeaway here is that I don't think AI is going to take your job if you really embrace it as a tool. It's another tool in your kit, and use it effectively. If you can kind of switch your mind. And so systems engineering, I'm probably going to create some videos on that because there's confusion around what systems engineering is, because that confusion was created. Like, you can look at books. I've got a master's in engineering and systems engineering from Stevens, right? So academics like to make things confusing as hell. It's probably like job security for them, right? Because they can keep writing and releasing books. But systems engineering is a good thing. It forces you to think about your system, design it. Did you build it the right way? Did you build the right thing, right? Maintenance, and ultimately getting rid of it. AI validation and strategic technology integration. If you can kind of start thinking bigger picture about some of these things, you're going to have a job for a long time. I mean, I'm an idiot, and I've managed to stay employed for, crap, man. I think it's going on like 33 years in this field. So if I can do it, anyone can. There's hope for you yet. So this is my first video that I have created and uploaded to YouTube. I have a face made for radio, is what my wife always tells me. So you don't see my face. That and the fact that I'm wearing a silly hat and I'm getting ready to go to a Super Bowl party. But thanks for watching. I want to create some more of these things, but I wanted to get something up today. So if you like this video, click the little thumbs up and click subscribe if you want to see more content about systems and software engineering. All right. Thanks, everybody.